And guess who's back? I enjoyed my time away from you guys, I have to say. I I just did a lot of relaxing and reading and hanging out and going to happy hour and just doing what I wanted to do for me. It was kind of interesting, but it's time to get back in the saddle and get back on the stick. It was a great, couple of days off. I guess it was a week that I had off after the intensity of February. I thought I was gonna die. It's like every year, I'm getting older. I know you guys are getting older too, but I'm getting older, so it becomes a little bit more of a challenge every year to pull that off. So I'm gonna have to like reorganize my thinking somehow. Oh, that video pissed you off? Yeah, wasn't that a trip? But what I have found that I'm responding to Faith's comment for those who may be wondering about the Japanese men and the high rate of stalking that's going on in Japan. There's I have found that in countries where there's like a lot of stifling of sexual, natural sexual interest and habits and exploration and things like that, you have men that just behave just very oddly. I don't know. They just really just be flipping out. But this is what we're going to talk about today is something that I've noticed. I think a lot of women are ashamed and afraid of being angry. Now, for black women, of course, it becomes this double whammy because, that angry black woman trope, we actually got to see it, on full display in living color when Serena Williams, threw her racket and she got upset at the play that the call on the play for her, and they wanted to fine girlfriend all kinds of money and do all kind of stuff, to punish her for being angry when white males like John McEnroe used to do even worse, and he never got fined like that. So it was just kind of interesting that then the white girls do crazy stuff, they don't get fined, but because a black woman did it, then suddenly she's quote an angry black woman and she deserves to be punished for displaying her anger at a bullshit ass call from the referee. So this is something that I think we need to explore, not only from that side. I'm going to probably really not delve too much into that. What I want to talk about is how you guys handle your anger and the fear that goes along with getting angry and the displacement of your anger and the denial of your anger and the things that you second guess yourself and push it down. It's my personal belief that's why so many women are on antidepressants and and just like obese and stuff. It's because they're furious at the way they've been treated and the things that they have to deal with on at the job and in relationships and in society in general with their families. They're livid, they're fucking raging, they're so mad, but they don't know what to do with it, and so or how to express it effectively, so they turn it in. And then of course as they say, anger turned inward is depression. So I mean, I think personally that I'm onto something. I don't know, I haven't read like any studies that verify it or anything, but I mean, when you see something repeated, a certain kind of behavior, and it's associated with a certain condition, like by the millions, it's kind of hard to deny that that's what it is. These women are pissed the fuck off, and instead of expressing their upsetness at the appropriate parties, cussing folks out, getting rid of them, doing whatever they want to do, they hold it in because they want to quote be nice. Now, for those of you who don't understand about the be nice thing, we just did a video on that during February. Please go back and look at it. I'll try to remember to link it at the end of the what is this thing about that everybody keeps popping up about gaming emojis. I don't understand what that's all about, but that shouldn't be on here. Um anyway, let's get started. I'm glad to be back. It's good to be back. So you guys, I kind of missed you, but not that much. Because I was having fun. Okay, let's talk about this. Remember that rhyme? Because I was thinking about this when I was driving. I think it was like a jump rope rhyme. Snip says snails and puppy dogs' tails. That's what little boys are made of. sugar and spice and everything nice. That's what little girls are made of. And then we would do some other counting thing, we're going to a different kind of rhyme. But it was a jump rope rhyme, and I remember it from my childhood. And so when you think, when you repeat things like that, even though you're just a kid and you don't really understand what it means, that stuff gets it's embedded in your brain as a method of being, a way to live. And so sugar and spice and everything nice, that's what little girls are made of. So that's what you're thinking, right? You need to be sugar and spice and everything nice. Being everything nice does not include cussing folks the fuck out, even when they deserve it. So you have all these little girls hearing all of this stuff, this stuff being drummed into them, not to mention the fairy tales that we used to read, and how everybody had to be so sweet and nice, and they was like always cleaning up after other folks and not yelling and not going off and whacking folks upside the head with a broom and throwing coal on them when they tell them to clean the scullery and all this old stuff. They never did any of that in the fairy stories. They just suffered and bore it. And that's the same kind of attitude that most women have. I don't know. I don't understand it. But you know what? There's actually a term for fear of anger. It's called angrophobia. I was like, what? Now this isn't just people who just have a normal little kind of like, well, I don't really want to be going off. I don't really want. But I mean, like seriously, these people don't want to be angry. They do anything other than be angry. They have a total fear of it. So to the level that it's a medical condition labeled a phobia. And I was like, wow. I mean, a lot of times it seemed like they said it was related to some past trauma associated with anger. Say a kid observed a father getting so angry that he killed the mother right in front of the kid. Okay, that child might very well develop angrophobia, and it would be understandable. Yes, see, this is what happens when people get sleep. You get some sleep. It's a miracle what it can do for you. But thank you. Um, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about what anger is first. And it's defined as a basic human emotion that everyone experiences. It's typically triggered by an emotional hurt. Anger is usually experienced as an unpleasant feeling that occurs when we think we have been injured, mistreated, our views challenged, or when we're faced with obstacles that keep us from attaining personal goals. Okay. I think that's pretty accurate. That's a big umbrella. In anger, it can be very constructive or it can be destructive. Now you look at when people when it's destructive, that's when they want to become like terrorists and stuff. And these, the five-letter word acronym that starts with an M, and the incels and all this stuff, driving vehicles into intersections, killing people, and going into college campuses and wanting to do stuff to all the co-eds because they mad that they didn't get the treatment that they deserve, that kind of stuff. Okay, that kind of anger is very destructive. Then you have anger that's constructive, like when black folks got tired of having to stand up and they wanted to sit down in the front of the bus. When black folks got tired of being relegated to a certain section of countertops at restaurants, going through certain entrances, having certain water fountains that they could use and all this kind of stuff. Okay, they got pissed off, and what happened? Change was affected. We got Martin Luther King involved. We got Jesse Jackson involved. We got all these people that helped push the civil rights movement through. That was anger that was motivating them. The women's rights movement, anger at being treated like second class citizens. So, I mean, if you channel your anger and you get with other people that are equally angry and equally desirous of change and modifications in certain social structures, you can do some wonderful things with your anger. But, a lot of people still are very afraid. Yes, Lady Boss is like telling them, telling them. Okay, so let's see. Basically, but why can't I just write an outline? Why do I have to just like type all my thoughts? It's just ridiculous. So now I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, why did I think that? When you have anger and you're a woman, do you realize how you're discouraged from feeling it and expressing it? How many rules are in place to keep women from sharing their anger or doing anything about it. Because soon as you do, what's the first thing you hear? Oh, you angry women, you're feminazi, you're a ball busting bitch. You're just, you're a man hater. You this. I mean, it's like all these negative labels. And then if you go through history, women get called nags and hags and witches and bitches and all kind of other negative stuff, all connected with a woman expressing her anger. And so when you have, women who are afraid of being called names and being labeled, which I mean, nobody ever died from being called a name, so I don't understand that fear. They will do anything to keep from being labeled those things. So they deny that they're angry. They push it down. They second guess themselves. They condemn themselves and push the anger in and condemn themselves for being angry instead of the person for mistreating them and disrespecting them and disregarding them and violating their rights. It's just unbelievable to me. I don't understand it. And if you think about it, men, because growing up in a house with brothers, I got to see this difference in firsthand. But I didn't really care about all those things because, I was just like what they used to call a tomboy. Now you get labeled a trans kid or some shit. I don't know what that's all about. But, in those days, little girls who wanted to be, I mean, who they said had more, aggressive, masculine traits that they associated with boys, they got labeled a tomboy. And so that's what I was. And I would be climbing trees and fighting people and racing and riding motorcycles and just doing all kind of stuff in my teens and early 20s and even younger. I didn't give a fuck about all those social things. But you got to think about it though. Boys are allowed to be angry. They're encouraged to be angry. That kind of thing, and to express their anger in somewhat violent ways, like, fighting and stuff. Whereas girls, every time we get mad, we're discouraged from it. Oh, that's not nice. You shouldn't say things like that to people. Why are you acting like that? That's not ladylike. That's not what we do. We use our words. Whereas, you somebody piss you off, you want to punch them in the fucking face, and they tell you can't do that. It's like, shh, they shouldn't have made me mad then. Oh yeah, well, I already said that. And when you think about it, when a woman has the gall to challenge a man, think about what even happens to us online, right? So a guy says some bullshit and we come back with intelligent, articulate women who are educated, have great life experience and a wonderful vocabulary and excellent typing skills. So we fire back a response and the first thing they want to do is hit you with a bunch of what I call uns. And I made a list of uns. You're labeled an undesirable woman. You're labeled unwifeable. You're undateable. You're unworthy of being treated like you're special, like you're important. They don't want to open doors for you and all that stuff because you're not worth it. You're unfeminine. You're unattractive. You're unkind. You're unfriendly. You're unapproachable, unlikable, and you're unladylike, and probably a whole bunch of more that you guys can think of on your own. And so when you start thinking about all that, and a lot of women don't want to be those things. They to be labeled those kinds of things by them, especially a feminist or a feminazi, they live in terror of that. And I'm like, why? These are some motherfuckers on the internet you will never ever meet. Why do you care what they think about you and what they type? Who gives a shit? I mean, so they know how to use a keyboard. What you want, a round of applause? I'm like, this is some this. So this is why I'm doing this show because this is something I've been noticing for the last couple of years, and it's like in the back of my mind, like you make note of things and you make note, and then finally it just kind of comes together like a whoosh. That's what this is. That's what's making these women so terrified of talking back to these dudes and not standing up for themselves. And that's how this trans shit got in place because those are men and the women are angry about it. But what do? They let men's anger take more precedent over their anger. And so then men just, kind of rolled on through and did what the fuck they wanted to do because women were afraid of being angry and standing up for themselves. Now, if you don't get mad, you know what happens? People just think that whatever they're doing to you or saying to you is okay because you didn't say shit. You didn't try to defend yourself. You didn't, fight back. You didn't say a word. You just sat there and took it. So when you sit there and take it, then people feel like, well, I guess they don't really care then. You know? Blair says you don't give a fuck. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why is this so important that you get the approval of these people on the internet? I'm like, are you for real right now? This is like one of those what the fuck moments. What? Why? Where does this thought coming from? It really makes me wonder, what's happening with women. Now, this is really interesting. Okay, now I did this, everything I was reading, because, I didn't have shit else to do, right, except drink wine and party with my friends and blab on the phone, which I have now lost my phone. I don't know where my phone is. But it's interesting to note that in the research that I did over and over and over, I noticed something. Men view anger as a source of power. For them, it's a good thing. They view it as, a part of their power base. But for some reason, women associate being angry with powerlessness. Isn't that interesting? And I'm like, I wonder where that came from. Why do women feel like if you get angry that you lose power? The fuck you do? You gain power. Power is like a spiritual magnet of energy. It draws it to you so that you have the energy to get up and do something about the shit that's pissing you off. You just sit there like a bump on a log, just like marinating in the passivity. Then you're never gonna do shit for yourself like that. You're just gonna keep sitting on your ass taking some bullshit. That just makes no sense to me. So, with women though, the sense of powerlessness and the power, I mean, it's all wrapped up in like social mores and people's expectations and our roles and responsibilities as women and men and power and privilege and race and gender. I mean, anger and how you express it and what people perceive your anger as is all wrapped up in those things. Okay. Now, if you care about that stuff, then of course, like I said, you're not gonna express your anger. You have to care about yourself more than you care about that shit that I just rattled off, social mores and all that old shit. Who that, and women have a lot of shame and a lot of fear connected with their anger, and well, anyway, I'll be going into that in a minute. So then I found this article, right? This mother was writing about her anger at her kids. And it was, she went on and on about a bunch of bullshit about how they make her mad. But this is the part that stood out for me. And I copied it over. And she has an attitude like she who holds her tongue holds the power, and that's a lot of women have been brainwashed to think that, and that is so the opposite of what men think, and that's why y'all sit there and don't say shit, and the men just let the men run all over you because you have this mistaken belief that if you don't say nothing, that means you hold the power. You don't hold shit except your tongue, and that's, trust me on that one. So this lady writes, when I yell, I communicate to my family that they have the power to make me act crazy. And I don't want my kids, my husband, the family dog, or anyone else to have that kind of power over me. So, in that split second before I yell, I try to insert a pause. Pausing reminds me that God gave me the emotions to experience life, not destroy it. And she assigns all of that to her yelling at her kids? I'll be like, look, you little motherfucker, sit down. I told you to do such and such, and you got 10 seconds to get up and make it happen. That kind of stuff. I mean, sometimes kids need to be yelled at. If you never yell them, they don't know that you care, and that's how parents communicate. I'm not saying you got to grab your kid by the throat and body slam them and all this stuff that some people do. I heard some crazy stuff and people hitting their kids with bamboo sticks and all kind of stuff. I don't believe in all of that. But there's nothing about you wrong with you checking your children verbally. Don't call them out their name and all this stuff. You talk about their behavior. And if you're yelling at them about their behavior, then that's fine. And that's what they need sometimes. Yeah, see, compromise. I told y'all my view on compromise. Compromise is bullshit. I mean, sometimes you have to do it. Don't get me wrong. It's just a necessary evil. Occasionally, it's a mandatory thing. But in general, what compromise results in is two people, and neither one of them are getting what they want. Neither one of them are going to be fully happy. Two people settled for some bullshit. That's what compromise means to me. So I'm not a good compromiser. I tend to be the my way or the highway type. But I'm not saying that's the best way to be. You don't have to be like me. But I accept that about myself. That's how I am. I know this about myself. And any man that's dealing with me is going to have to accept it too. Now, like I said, there will be occasions when I might bend when I'm in an exceptionally good mood. But in general, it's my way. It has to be my way. And that's just the way that it is. And you don't like it, there's the door. Bye. What you want me to do? All right. So that's she says pausing helps me look for a little perspective. And best of all, pausing allows for the Holy Spirit to intervene in my response. That's how she feels about, yelling at her kids. And I'm like, that's why your kids is gonna grow up to be mass murderers and terrorists and shit. Cause you don't want to yell at them. Kids need to be yelled at. It's like a part of life. You don't yell at your kids, and they're gonna get out in the world, and people gonna start yelling at them, and they're gonna be all in their feelings, be all delicate and thinking they special snowflakes and shit. And then they're gonna get a reality check, and then they're gonna be like all confused, and their feelings are hurt. Women basically are afraid to be angry out of fear of disapproval. No matter what, all the other stuff I say, that's what it boils down to. Y'all are afraid somebody's going to disapprove of you if you're mad. And so you hold it in and you deny that you feel it. And you go through all these changes to hide it, and you don't advocate for yourself. That, I think, is at the core of why so many women have trouble establishing and maintaining boundaries, because in order for you to maintain your boundaries, you got to rise the fuck up on people sometimes, because they're going to try you. But if you never get mad at the fact that they're trying to manipulate and coerce and control you, and you don't check them, then they're going to continue doing what it is that they want to do, and you're just going to lose out. All right, so now let's talk about how women do anger. How women do anger. Oh, wait. Before that, let me go over a survey I did. I posted a quick survey yesterday on women in anger, right? Because I wanted to see what people had to say about it. And I only got 25 responses because I was so last minute, but that's enough. And I asked the question, how do you feel about women becoming angry and expressing it? Check all that apply. And I was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I gave 12 options. And what they said was, I'm going to read the ones that have the highest responses. Okay, this one had 18. It is socially unacceptable for women to be angry in our society. We're expected to grin and bear it. 72% of the respondents checked that box. The other one, with an equal number of votes, angry women are shamed and condemned for expressing their anger. Okay, 72% of the respondents, said that those two things were true. Okay, then we go down to the one that got the next highest votes. People in general seem to be afraid of women's anger. That got 56% of the votes. The next ones under that, there were two that tied for 44%. I find when you never get angry, people see you as weak and powerless. Okay, so that's their experience. So why are so many women trained to think, especially by religion, that if you get angry and express it, that means that you're powerless. And the other one says women should be angry 24/7 worldwide because of the way that men treat them as a whole. That was 44%. The next highest one is women should allow themselves to freely and without reservation express their anger without boundaries of gender. That was 40%. And the next 40% one was, I'm sure if I allowed myself to be angry more often and tell people they piss me off, my boundaries wouldn't get violated so often. So you see how the people who responded recognized how anger would protect them, how they've been controlled by society, how they've been told that their anger is not valid and it's inappropriate and that they shouldn't feel it. Yet they recognize the value of the anger in protecting them. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys. They also shared some stories. Thank you. They shared some stories. I thank you was to Marsha. They shared some stories. Oh, my light. There we go. Forgot to turn that on. Okay. I asked them to share a story, share an experience you had with women's anger, your own or someone else's, and how you felt. What made you or them angry? How was that anger expressed? And there was a total of 12 responses. I won't read you all of them, but I will read you a couple. My grandmother, coming into defense of my estranged father, estranged because he was a deadbeat, after she read a letter I wrote him after my first time meeting him a couple of years ago. I was in my early 30s. He responded to the letter via text by insulting me, and she reacted with outrage. I've known my grandmother since childhood, and she hasn't seen her son since before I was born. I felt betrayed and pissed because she was protecting a man she no longer really knew, and how I felt I didn't matter. I was punished for finally being able to express to him my experience of not having him in my life during those vital years when I needed him. My grandmother and I argued on the phone for a short amount of time and then ended the conversation. I have stopped communicating with my father despite his attempts to communicate with me here and there, and I rarely communicate with her anymore. I only see her during family functions. And see, that's some codependent bullshit. He is wrong. He's a flat out bum. He's just a dusty. And the grandmother, lost her relationship with her granddaughter over defending a dusty because the granddaughter got angry at the way that the father came back at her. You know, you supposed to be on the phone cussing him out, saying, I'm sorry I even gave birth to you. I should have got an abortion. You miserable piece of shit. How dare you do some shit like that if you disappear from, you know what I mean? She didn't take the right approach. And so this young lady had every right to be angry. She had every right to respond exactly the way that she did. Um, As a single mother that raised two boys alone, I've experienced situations when they became teens where I had no idea how to deal with anger and especially how to deal with teenage boys, especially the terrible disrespect that gets thrown upon a single parent. My background as a child was filled with abuse. I guess that my point here is that there are very few realistic resources that show us how to deal with anger, especially if we're single parents with no support network. We only know what we've learned, and sometimes even as we try very hard, what we know can easily overtake what is right, especially in the heat of the moment. The anger that I experienced raising the teens made me ashamed when I look back. Maybe at the same time, I honestly don't know how to have handled the situation any differently with the resources that I had. I'm always afraid that perhaps I was on the verge of abuse with my anger, and I berate myself for something I'll never be able to change. You see that confusion? Now, I don't know what, she didn't say what she did. I mean, short of stabbing or shooting them, it was justified. I mean, teenage boys are fuckers. That's all I can say. I grew up with some. I'm telling you, if it had been for my daddy, there's no way in this world my mother would have been able to handle them, all by herself. There's just no way. Especially my oldest brother. Today is his birthday, as a matter of fact. I need to call him. And just no way that would have happened. That wouldn't have come out well. He had to put his foot on my brother's neck, punch the shit out of him several times, and I mean, it was like that mano y mano shit to make him act right. He's good now, but I mean, he could have just as easily have ended up in San Quentin on a life sentence. you know this woman writes, whenever I get angry, I'm not taken seriously. I am laughed at, mocked, ignored, and called a bitch. It's not usually until a white man steps in that I get taken seriously. Unfortunately, on the other hand, the community tends to respect me more, but it doesn't want to hang out with me. It's lonely when you aren't afraid to confront issues with anger. Yes, it is. Welcome to my world. It's like, oh, I do. I just saw Van said I have a super chat. Uh, well, thank you. Whoever, I guess it scrolled by, I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm just running my mouth. But thank you to whoever did that so graciously. And this woman writes, some aggressive jerk I was dating jumped on my car. What? To keep me from leaving the house for work. He wanted to ride in the opposite direction, but I could not be late. He was chasing the car. Oh my God. First grabbed the door handle and then jumped on the hood. I pushed the gas pedal hard and he flew off the car and got all kinds of road rash and blood everywhere. I went to work. He apologized and never fucked with me again. My girl, that's what I'm talking about. See, she set a precedent and she let him know. Now, I said no. I said no, motherfucker. That's what I meant. So you can jump on the hood, you can grab the door handle if you want to. Your clothes about to be ripped and your flesh is gonna be scraped off on this sidewalk. I don't know what else to tell you. Oh, this is brilliant. I want to put this. I want to put this on my wall. This one says, I used to be so scared and timid when it came to speaking up. One day I met this fellow while working at Whole Foods. We became good friends and FWBs as well. He taught me a great deal about speaking up for myself and never letting anyone punk me. Although it feels good to unleash some of this bottled up anger, I often find myself guilty at the same time. However, the guilt is decreasing as time goes on. See, that's another way. Women get guilt tripped. No, I want her to be though, Robin. I want her to be a friend of mine. I love that. And this one says, I was raised not to express my anger by a father who was emotionally and verbally abusive, but who had no reservations using his own anger and threats of violence to keep me in line and obedient. Any expression of negative emotion, including sadness, was met with his loud protests of scorn and disapproval. This behavior increased dramatically when I was a teenager after he sexually abused me. I was 13 at the time. Consequently, I was too terrified of him to complain or report the abuse until many years later after I had left home. Dirty, nasty fucking dog. Um, And the last one says, I am afraid of expressing my anger and being dismissed. I think that behind anger, there has to be power and the threat of something more happening, some consequence for the other person. I don't feel comfortable with that part of anger. So when I feel it, I don't express it, but I do use it as an inner compass for me to change. I wish I were more comfortable with my own power so there was some bite to my bark. Right now, I don't bother barking out loud. P.S. You're awesome, Deb. Well, thank you, but this is scary to me. There doesn't have to be overt consequences to anything. Like they don't have to get payback. What you do is get them off you, though. Like say you have, someone who cut in line in front of you at the grocery store. What can you do? You can cut back in front of them. I've done that several times. It's like, no, you're not going to do that. Well, this one lady was telling me, well, I'm in a hurry. I said, you bitch, your hurry ain't no bigger than mine. And she stopped. She had already put her stuff on the little conveyor belt thingy. And I pushed by her and put my shit in front of her. Now the clerk and the bagger and everybody else is seeing what just happened, right? And I told the clerk, if you touch anything on her thing before you do mine, I'm going to call the manager. And then if you do anything else after that, I will be reporting this to the newspaper about how you treated me in the store in favor of a white woman. Trust me, I will raise a fucking stink. And so they told the lady to take her stuff off the conveyor belt, and then I put all my stuff up there. So I mean, there doesn't always have to be where the person's getting any kind of punishment. All you're doing is you're standing up for yourself. That's all you're doing. And your anger is what's going to motivate you to do that. Otherwise, what most women would do is sit there and seethe and be livid and furious at being treated like that, but they wouldn't do anything. They would hold it in. And see, that's what we don't want. We don't want you to do that. All right. So that's what I wanted to say. Totally no conflict with her father. Sometimes that's what it is. Lady Boss say hit the gas on that ass. You know what? You're not gonna get a rapping concert contract for that. Yeah, I don't know. These people. Okay, so let's talk about how women handle anger. Those were some perfect examples. I wanted those women to share their stories with you, so you would know that you're not the only one that has some conflict about anger and some struggles with trying to figure out what to do about what you're feeling. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways that people handle their anger. There's three types in that I could figure out. Okay, I gave them some very interesting names. The go ballistic type, that's me. These are the explosive tempered people that fly off the handle and go smooth off on people like a rocket. Their anger goes from 0 to 100 seconds with little notice or warning. They will yell, cuss, throw things, slam their hands on the table, fist through walls, break things, get in your face, threaten your life, etc. I told you about the time I tried to run my ex boyfriend over with my car and gave no fucks if I hit him or not. I wanted him to die. So you see what I mean? And it was like I was just driving down the street listening to my music. I saw his ass and I could feel the flame shoot up. It was like 0 to 100, like just, I don't know, a tenth of a second. It was unbelievable. Okay, so do these things apply to you? If you're the go ballistic type, I am easily angered. I am frequently drawn into situations that escalate into anger. I feel furious when I'm interrupted or blocked from a goal. I get angrier the longer I think about something that provoked me. That's not me. I don't get angrier. I'm just angry, just like at 100 from the jump. I have a hard time letting go of a dispute. Not until I get even. I often feel angry when criticized. Yeah, who the fuck are you? I sometimes get act angry because I know it'll help me get my way. Hmm. I enjoy the intense feelings of anger. I am angry most of the time. I get angry when people do or believe things I don't agree with. When I'm angry, I raise my voice, slam my hand, throw things. I have used my anger to silence or control others. Being angry is just who I am. That's fall under the go ballistic types. That's not all necessarily me, but I'm just taking like a kind of a composite of people that I've seen behave that way, and these are some of the things that they exhibited. Then there's the second type. I call this the simmering pot type. These people are very slow to get angry. It takes a lot to get them there. But you're gonna keep neat, 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 neat until they reach that level, and then they're gonna go smooth off on you too. They may start by giving you like a little bit of snap and snarl. They're gonna give you some snark. Okay, that lets you know they're irritated. Okay, but they'll pretty much stay there because that's their simmer point. They'll stay at the irritation point for a long time before they escalate. Um, but this is the thing about the simmering pot type. You talking shit to them, right? You're all just going back and forth. There's all this shit going on. When if they sitting down, like they chilling, sitting back, you know what? If they go to stand up, they stand up. It's just, you better get to moving in the opposite direction because some shit get ready to go down. So once that type gets pushed to that point, sometimes this is the kind that they're real cool. I mean, until the second that they're not. This is the type that will like black out. It's like they get so angry they black out, and then when they come back to themselves, it's like they turn into another person. They come back to themselves, and people sometimes are dead. Okay, and they're like, what? They honestly don't even remember because they were so angry they just couldn't even see what was going on in front of them. I mean, that happens, and people get dead from that shit. So you want to be careful if you got that simmering type of personality, simmering pot type, where you get violent like way later, because somebody gonna push you to that point, and then you gonna be like going crazy and shit, and the next thing you know, your ass gonna be on an episode of Snapped. That's what happened with them chicks. They was all the simmering pot types. And they took it and took it and took it and took it and dealt with it and pushed it down and excused and made, nice over and did everything they could until the day came. It was like the straw on the camel's back, and they fucking snapped, and that was the end of them men. Okay, so that's the simmering pot type. Then there's the third type, the kind I call it the hold it all in type. This is a lot of women. There's a lot of y'all that's this whole this and type. These are the kind that you don't feel comfortable expressing your anger really at all. Whether it's now or later, you don't feel comfortable expressing it ever. And you don't even a lot of you times you won't even notice you're angry, or other people won't know that you're angry rather, unless they have a high level of emotional intelligence and can read body language and facial expressions and breathing and eye movements and stuff like that. Then they can tell that you're angry. Chances are though you'll deny it because you the hold it all in type. People say, "Are you upset?" No, I'm not mad, you'll say. with this pleasant little Pollyanna tone of voice. Well, you look upset. No, no, I'm, just steady denying that they feel it. Um, and then even if you do get upset at someone, you do get angry, these are the kind of women that will sit around and, and like condemn themselves for it. Oh, why did I shouldn't feel like this. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't think that way. They weren't trying to hurt me. I'm just doing too much. I'm this, I'm that. And you steady like convincing yourself that you're the one that's wrong. It's really kind of interesting. This also happens, when women are afraid of anger. Look at what's happening with this R. Kelly shit. I saw this on Instagram. I had to like check this woman. She was talking about the interview that he did with Gayle King, right? And she's like, "Oh, he's a hurt person. That's who was doing this interview. It wasn't the adult male. It was his injured, wounded child because he was abused too." I'm like, "Who gives a shit?" It's like, you know what? This motherfucker has millions. He had the money to have a shrink in every city that he did a tour with, to have one that's on staff that goes places with him. He had opportunities to fix his fucked up mind. But he didn't do it. Why? Because he didn't give a shit. He didn't want to. He enjoyed hurting other people. And so she's up there trying to defend him and all this stuff. Of course, that pissed me off. I went from 0 to 100. And, it's like, stop making excuses for these people. But this is the kind of woman, the hold it in type. She wouldn't feel comfortable expressing her rage and disgust at this of men like him because there's so many of them. It's like, where would your anger stop? I understand why some women are afraid to even get on that path. I get it, trust me. But you cannot, for a public figure like him, who was in the news over and over and over and over and charged dozens and dozens of times by different women for doing this kind of behavior, now your ass is going to sit there and try to make excuses talking about, well, he was the injured child. Who gives a fuck? I just was like, Blair said she get angry when she missed a live stream. Yes, there wasn't one this week. So, those are the three types of women, from my perspective, the three primary ways that women handle their anger. And this hold it in type are also the ones that displace their anger. What does that mean? That means that they don't put it on the right person. These are the kind of women, like when their husband or boyfriend cheats on them, they don't get mad at him. They get mad at the other woman. They blame her for him cheating. When their child, fails a test, they blame the teacher instead of their kid for not studying. That kind of stuff. Those are the they're not comfortable expressing anger to the people that are close to them. They want to put it out, on some innocent third party that really didn't have nothing to do with it. But these types do that passive aggressive stuff too, because they're the ones, they hold it in, right? And then they be sneaky with their anger. So they're going to put some sugar in your gas tank. Or suddenly you just come home and all your shit is outside. Or they going to be like, what's his name on Waiting to Exhale? Is going to make a Porsche and Armani flambe out your shit. So it's like, I don't know what to tell you guys, but those last two types, I just really wouldn't mess with them too much. It's better, I think, to be with a woman who's gonna tell you straight up to your face, fuck you, nigga. You talking some crazy shit. I don't really fucking feel like hearing that shit. Get out of my face. You'll go away some damn where. Okay, now she doesn't express her anger. She's is out. It's all, how she feels. You can either deal with it or you all can, you can patch it up or whatever. But it's out there. It's clear. She communicated with you her display, her disgust, whatever. And now it's up to you what you're gonna do about it. But these other two be hiding a lot, and so it makes people that are in relationship with them or in their family kind of have to walk around on eggshells and tip around. You guys don't do that to people. I mean, even if you don't yell and rant and rave and stuff, if you're upset with someone about something, be woman enough to express it. Okay, and it's not like you can make anybody do what you want to do. I think there's a lot of expectations, or if I express my anger, then nothing's going to change. That's not the point. The point is for you to express your anger, and whether they change or not, you still have the power because you have told them what they're doing and how you don't like it and you're not going to tolerate it. Now, if they decide that they want to continue to treat you that way, you still have the ultimate power because you can leave that relationship. If it's a job, you leave that job. If it's, a marriage, you leave that marriage. You still have the ultimate power to not take that behavior that made you angry. And so you can't control anybody else. The only person you can control is yourself. Okay, just remember that. Now, sometimes these types that do this, hold it in, will get their anger out in other ways. They're going to become buried in their work. They're going to overeat. A lot of women do this and they get really big, right? They absorb themselves in TV shows and movies and online nothing, just wasting time to distract themselves from the hurt, which is really where the anger is sourcing from. They play on the computer for hours. They withdraw and they sulk, pout, whine and stuff. They stop talking to you. They want to shop to bury the anger. They blast music so because that it gets their blood pressure up and they can feel the rage then, but that is acceptable to them. They criticize themselves. They feel guilty. They become passive about pursuing whatever it is, their education, weight loss, exercise, whatever. They become passive about that. They start drinking or using drugs to drown it, or they get depressed. And like I said, that's what I think is the number one reason why so many women are on Prozac and Zoloft and all these other things, because they're angry as fuck. They're pissed the hell off and they don't want to deal with the anger, so they take drugs. Now let's talk about what kind of things usually cause women to get angry. Okay, see if this fits any of you. It's a defense against feeling ashamed. You have feelings of not being good enough for some reason. You try to hide your feelings by being sensitive to criticism. And even a really general remark or suggestion for improvement can piss you off. Um, and then you get angry about it. Yeah, that's what we call getting in your feelings. A lot of people do that. Anger can also be used to manipulate other people. These are people that enjoy having power and control over others. You find it funny when people are scared of your anger, or just scared of you, period. I remember a story the other day in one of the live streams we did. Somebody was talking about, where was I? Maybe it was on Twitter. I don't know. Anyway, I read the story about this guy like stalking this woman from a grocery store, falling to her house, and talking about, well, she was inside and she didn't even like close her garage door. She was scared. She ran inside and he could see her talking to the police and on the phone looking out the window. Then the police came and made him move and all stuff. And he was getting off on the power that he felt by making her fearful. I don't know. He was angry because she was a woman. These damn feminists, this kind of thing. And they think they're so bad and this and that, but she didn't do anything but call the police. Some of you are angry just as a habit. It's just your way of life. This is a lot with, the little hood girls, but as far as I'm concerned, they have a reason to walk around with their face all twisted up, pissed the fuck off, because every corner, everything that they do, the neighbors, I mean, they can't even get on the elevator, walk down the hall without some niggas just bothering the fuck out of them and trying to touch them and, just messing with them. It's always something, just somebody messing with them. The frustration of not being able to get what you want and do what you want and buy what you want and low paid jobs and lack of opportunities, all kind of stuff. That shit is bound to make you mad. And I could understand why they would walk around looking, rather dour in the face. Some women are angry because of judgments, their moral superiority. Oh, how often do we hear this? You say something about don't say nothing about their religion or something else that they believe, in, like, the thing with the B. Smith shit. I just went through that with them. My thing is shit. She can't talk. She can't do shit. She's sitting around in her own world. What's the man supposed to do? Talk to her? Like talk to the wall? That's what'll make y'all happy? And they got angry because, I had a different belief system than them. And so their belief system, they're very hold on to it and get angry when somebody challenges their way of thinking. And I was just looking at him. It's like, it's the internet, okay? It's not that serious. Because he going to do what the fuck he want to do, just like he been doing it. So all this angst y'all feeling and expressing and stuff is pointless. Why are you getting all worked up about what some man does that you don't even know with a woman that you don't even know? Where they do that at? But I thought it was interesting. And then the final one is a person who likes to dump on people. These are the people that you got them girlfriends, right? They always talking shit about their man, but they ain't never gonna leave him. They mad because he did this and that. He didn't do this and that. They mad. And they calling you and they just dump all of this angst and anger and emotion on you. And then, you're supposed to just sit there and listen? No. That's a different kind of, that's how some women handle their anger as well. Um, and then you have the passive aggressive types. These types get on my fucking nerves. I would rather you just be straight out, just say it. But they do this little underhanded shit like they claim they fine, they deny that they're mad. You ask them to do something, they make some convenient mistakes, right? So then you sitting there, and it's like that's how they punish you for making them angry. So it's like this underhanded little sneaky shit that they be doing. They forget to do something that they told you that they was gonna do, or they do it in some half-ass way so that you have to do it over or augment what they did because they didn't do it right. Or they put up stuff, you're gonna wait till the very last second to do something they told you they was gonna do. So you like stressing out and worrying, is it gonna get done and all this kind of stuff. And then finally it comes through. But they feel justified and because they made you worry, and they feel like they're getting back at you for making them angry. It's real interesting to talk to them kind. Now, what I also ran into, yeah, it is. It's lady boss. I agree. They have to be angry because otherwise, they'd be seen as soft, and then they're just like an instant victim. I get it. I'm telling you, I understand. Okay, now listen to this shit here. I found a study, right, and it won like all kind of awards and everything. It was done back in, well, the results were published in 2015, so it's a couple of years old. But they wanted to take a look at what happens when men and women on a jury find themselves angry. They wanted to compare what the results were of men expressing their anger on a jury versus women, expressing their anger on a jury, and see how it worked out. This shit was unbelievable. Okay, so it says in these situations, jurors often find themselves needing to sway the opinions of others. The stakes are high. The jury's decision will decide the fate of another human being, and if they get it wrong, an innocent man or woman may be sentenced, or a guilty person may go scot free. Emotions run high, and speeches can be very passionate. Okay. So they say if men and women are perceived differently when they express their anger in these speeches, then their influence on the fellow jurors would reflect those impressions, right? If taken seriously when you get angry, you may persuade others to change their mind. If you viewed as a lightweight of no consequence, you'll be ignored. And that's what they were testing. So they created this situation where they it's like a mock case. So they created transcripts of a case that never happened, and they saw photographs of a crime scene, and they read transcripts of it and stuff, and they viewed the photos that weren't from that trial but gave the scenario greater credibility. Okay, the evidence was ambiguous enough to lead them to vote for a conviction only 62% of the time, and in this study, this one that I'm talking about, only 43% of the participants arrived at a guilty verdict. Okay, so this is what they did. So after deciding on the verdict, the participants encountered the simulated jury deliberation. They read the scripts from other jurors in which one holdout refused to go along with the majority opinion. The holdout was identified by name as either a male or a female. They tested, they had to do two tests and compare the results. And their arguments contained anger. Um, Either this makes me angry, it scares me how to think about how, or no emotion at all. So there was those three choices. The fear condition they said was important because they needed to control the expression of any emotion. If fear and anger produced the same reaction, then one could argue that the effects were due to emotional arousal rather than the specifics of anger. So they measured it and all this stuff. And so what the bottom line is, um, the findings prove that the men and the women have different influence when they express opinions in an angry manner. The participants in the fake trial were more likely to doubt their initial judgment after hearing what an angry man had to say, but were more confident in their own judgments after reading the angry woman's arguments. everything in the two conditions was the same except the holdout gender. Wasn't that interesting? So just because a man says it, it has more credibility. It's more believable. He's right. If a woman says it and she's angry, it has less credibility and she's less right. She's not someone to believe or take it seriously. Don't you see how this applies in juries where there's an assault, where there's a female talking about being molested by a man, by a female being stalked? This is the overwhelming mentality of people about women's anger and rage. This is some scary shit. This is really kind of sad and very interesting. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, so I read it. I mean, it was like ridiculously long because they went step by step and put. So I just extracted, the part that I thought was important. And so yeah, when when the angry woman spoke, or, well, they read her statement rather, they became more confident in their verdict. And when the angry man expressed anger, they led them become less confident in the verdict. Not to say that they changed it necessarily. It didn't go that far, but it made they were led to question their belief system and their interpretation of the material that they had read about the case. So, I'm like, just because he got a dick, that's really the only difference. And I thought, wow, this is really kind of fucked up. Yeah, but see, this is the thing is why, people are just so not used to women being angry and expressing it. So when it's a situation where a woman does, they don't even know what to do with it. So rather than deal with or look at the fact that maybe she's got a point, and she's not any different from this man, just because why is it acceptable for men to be angry and women not to be about the same shit? So, I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that shit was interesting as hell. And like I said, the study itself won several different awards for its novelty and awareness on sociology. And so I thought, wow, this is kind of messed up. Yeah, this was their summary statement. Our results lend scientific support to a frequent claim voiced by women, sometimes dismissed as paranoia, colon, that people would have listened to her impassioned argument had she been a man. So what does this mean? Y'all got to start speaking up more. You got to get used to people got to get used to you having an impassioned argument. They have to get used to hearing your voice and knowing that you're angry. So many women, oh my God. And then even like, your religions tell you that you can't, express your anger, especially at a man, because you're supposed to be submissive and quiet and waiting on stuff and all this kind of stuff. You got that kind of mentality, it's not going to be in you to move to the front and express your frustration at being pushed to the back. You just going to accept being pushed to the back. Nah, fuck all that. Now, another thing I found that was really interesting is that this one sociologist was exploring anger, and he said that from his perspective, anger is a substitute emotion. And I'm like, a substitute emotion? What does that mean? And he says a substitute emotion because sometimes people make themselves angry so they don't have to feel pain. People change their feelings of pain into anger because it feels better to be angry than it does to be in pain. This changing of pain into anger may be done consciously or unconsciously. I think the only ones who do that are men, right? Because they get rejected, right? That hurts them. We know that hurts their feelings. Their little egos get to put the smash on them. And rather than deal with the fact that they're hurting, they convert that to anger and they want to project it out onto women. So, this is a male psychologist, and what he wrote was talking about men because that's not what women do. Women turn the shit inside and they want to condemn themselves and take, antidepressants and everything. I'm like, this motherfucker here, he's full of shit. And then he says being angry rather than simply in pain has a number of advantages. Primarily distraction. People in pain generally think about their pain. However, angry people think about harming those who have caused pain. I'm just reading this. Part of the transmutation of pain into anger involves an attention shift from self focus to other focus. Well, doesn't this not describe men? I mean, I was on it and I didn't even hadn't even read that part of it. That's what they do. It's a distraction, so they can blame us for their pain, but they could, portray it as anger. That's it says people it temporarily protects people from having to recognize and deal with their painful real feelings. You get to worry about getting back at the people you're angry at. Instead, making yourself angry can help you to hide the reality that you find a solution situation frightening or that you feel vulnerable. Well, that describes men. Now, for me, I think from a woman's perspective, we feel the hurt first, and we, being more in touch with our emotions, we know that that's what we feel, right? We feel that first. It's like, oh, he doesn't want to be with me, blah blah blah. Okay, then you go through all of that, you wallow around, you cry, all that. Then women get angry. How dare he treat me like this? He left me for that bitch. So that part is after the hurt that we acknowledge we feel. Men don't want to feel that. They don't want to deal with that at all. So they just turn it immediately into anger. It's funny when I say the fact that they call me a bitch, everyone says shit. You like the fact? Yeah, because they don't, you took the heat out they little sails. They don't know what to do with that. It's like, you just say, well, thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way. What they going to do? Come back with something. You're just a feminazi. Well, thank you once again. I say, you just, all my wonderful attributes. You're just so aware of them. Thank you for noticing. Idiots. Um, let's see. What did I want to talk about here? I already talked about this. How anger can motivate you to do more and better. Like you get mad enough. It's kind of like you reach your bottom line. Like when you get tired of getting your ass beat and you angry enough, you in a domestic violence type of situation, you gonna get up and you gonna walk the fuck out, and you're not gonna really care about whatever. You're gonna bust him upside the head if you have to. You gonna whatever you need to get out of that situation. That's what you're gonna do when you reach that point of being angry enough. Um, Now, when you don't handle your anger, ladies, think about this. You listen to this list and see if any of this applies to you. Okay, so you don't want to feel your anger. You don't know what to do with it. It makes you uncomfortable. It's been trained out of you as a child or teen or whatever. You don't really know what you're supposed to be doing with it. Okay. So if you experience these kind of physical symptoms, because anger is not just like an emotion, it is manifested physiologically. I mean, your heart rate increases. You're gonna clench your teeth. Your blood pressure might go up. Some people get like bulging eyes. The veins in their neck stand out and stuff. I mean, depending on how angry they get. Some people get like super red in the face. I mean, there's physical changes to your body when you are just out of control mad. So let's think about these. Some physical symptoms. You clench your teeth. Clench your jaws. You grind your teeth. You get a headache. You get a stomach ache. You have rapid heartbeat. You sweat. You feel hot in the neck or face. You shake or you tremble. That what you ever did when you got so mad you started shaking? I've been that mad. Dizziness. That's because your blood pressure went up so high. Emotionally, you may feel like you want to get away from the situation. You want to run. You're going to feel irritated. You're going to feel sad or depressed, guilty maybe, resentful, anxious, like striking out verbally or physically. My personal favorite, verbally. Also, you may notice that you are rubbing your head, cupping your fist with the other hand. That's, people do like this. Okay, that's what they try. This hand is restraining this hand from punching somebody's lights out. That's what that is. You may pace. You may get sarcastic. You may lose your sense of humor. Ain't shit funny. You start acting in an abusive or abrasive way. You start craving a drink, a smoke, or something else that you know is going to relax you. A toot. You want to raise your voice. You want to yell or scream. And for women's personal favorite, start crying. Why y'all cry when you mad? You should be making other people cry. You shouldn't be the one crying. There's always going to be somebody else in tears. It's never going to be me. Oh no. Can't do that. Um, what are your triggers? What are your triggers? What pisses you off and makes you get angry? Are you aware of what those things are? Do you try to avoid those things because you're not comfortable with how you're going to be handling them? I don't know how you guys could do that off, you know, off the let me see. How do I do this? I'm trying to hold on a second. Ah, I'm in the chat room doing something. It's not cooperating. Okay. Had to get rid of a couple of folks. All right. Now, let's look for some of your triggers. Other people doing or not doing what you expect them to do. Is it fair? Are your expectations fair? Or is it something that came out your head? That's something to think about. Events that maybe got in your way, like traffic jams, computer programs, problems, telephones ringing to one nonstop, kids running around screaming nonstop. I mean, stuff that's keeping you from doing what you want to do, thinking what you want to think, being in the state of mind you want to be in. People taking advantage of you, being angry and disappointed in yourself, or any combination of those things. You also want to look at anger triggering thoughts that happen over and over again, like the perception that you've been victimized or harmed in some way. Oh my God, this thing about this dude I dated, right? In college, and he used to sit in this little chair in his house. I used to call it his throne because the little green chair. He used to sit there. It was like an old people's chair. It was like covered in some kind of velvet or something. And so it was nothing like a young person would have. But he had this little green chair, and he would sit in that little damn chair, like half in the dark, and he would think about shit that happened like 10 or 15 years ago. And he would get mad about it all over again. And I thought, wow, that's kind of bizarre. Who does that? Why would you want to do that? That made no sense to me. Um, when you believe that the person who provoked you meant to harm you deliberately, that the other person was wrong and that they should have behaved differently and they were evil or stupid or wrong to harm you. Well, I mean, they may well have been. But I mean, why are you going to keep thinking about it over and over? I mean, think about it, resolve the problem, fuck them up, get back at them, sue them, whatever you need to do, get them arrested, put in jail. I mean, handle your business. But you don't need to keep thinking about it over and over and over and over and over. That's called baggage, and you never get past it. It's good. That's why it's good for you to get angry and then do something about it. And that's that phrase. I got that phrase from Ivana Trump. She said, "Don't get mad, get even." And I said, "Okay, that's my girl. I love that shit. I've been using that ever since." She was, way still married to Donald when she said, I guess that's when they were getting a divorce. And she's like, "Don't get mad, get even." I'm like, yes, I likes that. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Some kind of soft stuff, kind of fabric like velvet. I don't know what the fuck it was. So you guys, can you use your anger to identify situation where people have hurt you or tried to hurt you? A lot of women don't recognize it. You're so busy living in your, little la la perfect land where you think that nobody's, that everybody's wonderful. You're going to love all black men and everybody's a king and all this old shit you all be telling yourself. Those are women who don't want to get angry. Did you notice that? They don't want to deal with the realities of the behavior of the men around them. So they transmute that to everybody's perfect and everybody's a king. And you women who are mad at them, there's something wrong with you. No, bitch, you stupid. That's what the problem is with you. All you got to do is open your eyes and see the egregious shit these men are doing. I mean, how can you not be mad? That's the part that drives me crazy. How can a woman not be mad at the stuff that men do to women and girls? Well, kids, period. How can you not be mad? I don't even understand that. But you see them all over. My king, my princess, hotep, all this stuff. I'm like, oh, y'all just doing the most. I can't. Okay, now These are the women who be getting in their feelings. Okay, this is a matter of required of you to grow up. So you sitting up there being mad about these things I'm going to rattle off. Okay, this is a waste of time. You sitting up there like putting all these labels on people, and okay, they do something. Okay, they did something that you didn't like. Okay, you didn't like it. You felt whatever, mistreated, abused, taken advantage of, disrespected, whatever it is that you felt. Okay. You felt that thing, identified that thing, and then address that thing. But that's not what you all do. You want to hold on to the anger, and then you assign all these things to what the person did when they might not have meant any of that. They were just being an asshole in that second. Okay, let's talk about this list here. Oh, so say someone doesn't pay enough attention to, what you feel they're not paying enough attention to your needs. Well, that means that they don't care about you. Maybe they do care about you, and maybe you want them to express it in a different way. But see, you're angry about that. Then open your fucking mouth and tell them. See, you don't go sulk and say, make this thought that you have, this feeling, a fact in your head without a conversation with your partner. Oh, you don't care about me. What are you, two? Really? Okay, the next one. So somebody, demands too much of you. You feel like you're demanding too much of me. Oh, okay. Are they gonna ask? You know what? You know your lips don't know how to form the word no? You mad? You can't say no now? That person's rude and inconsiderate. Okay, they might be, but what's wrong with you calling them on it? Because what's rude and inconsiderate varies from culture to culture. You do realize that, right? So even from various parts of the United States, what varies is considered rude and inconsiderate varies. So you're the owner of that. So if someone is in your mind rude or inconsiderate, that's what this is for. You need to open up and say, I didn't like what you said. That to me that was rude and inconsiderate. And then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize," or they'll say, "Yeah, no, I did it on purpose, bitch." But either way, you don't need to be in your feelings about it, labeling them and stewing in your juices because you feel like this person was rude and inconsiderate. You gonna stay mad about it forever in 2 weeks. You feel, oh, though you're so selfish. All you think about is yourself. Okay, even if that's true, and that in that moment, or that's if you in a relationship with somebody that only thinks about themselves, then I have to ask the problem. The problem is you. You picked a fool. Okay, what you do that for? You see that that's how they are. They're a narcissistic little fuck. Then you supposed to do what I told you earlier in the show and put your feet in motion and do this and walk away from them. You don't have to stay in a relationship with someone who is, uh, you know, thinking only about themselves when there's two people in a relationship. Why would you do that? Or you say to somebody, you feel like if somebody criticizes you or that they're shaming or disrespecting you. We heard that a lot. I was talking about these men and how they behave, and they're like, oh, you're just trying to shame us. And it's like, I don't even know you, motherfucker. How am I gonna be shaming you? I'm just talking about the stupid shit you say. Now, if you feel ashamed because I said that you say stupid shit, well, that's you. That's you on that. But me pointing out that what you said is stupid is a fact. That's nothing to be. I mean, I'm not trying to shame you. If you feel shame, that's on you. I can't help you. That you own that. That you say, well, people are mean. They're mean to me. They're cruel to me. What you gonna do about it? I mean, you feel irritated. You're upset. Okay, how do you communicate that? You want them to stop being mean and cruel to you. Or, these people are incompetent, they're stupid. We're not going to be doing that too much at the job because, see, that's the shit to get you fired. And if you act stupid and incompetent in a relationship with me, your ass will also be terminated. So, I don't know. You don't have to put up with that. You don't have to be mad about it. See, this is the thing. These are things that women get angry about and they hold on to them rather than vent their anger. This is what I'm talking about as I wind this up. These are things I want you to check and see if you do these things yourself. If you're holding on to this stuff, you're making these kind of assessments about someone's behavior and you're holding on to this stuff, you need to open your mouth as an adult woman and check these people that do these things that you feel that this is what they're doing to you. I mean, I can't interpret it. Like I said, you have to own, that. I mean, everybody's thing is different. And what some people might consider to be, stupid, somebody else might be okay with. I mean, you have to be the determiner of that. But what I'm saying is, don't sit there if you feel like that's what they thought, that's what they did, and that's how they think of you, and you don't address the matter. You just hold on to it and pout about it forever and ever. That just makes no sense. Are you upset because somebody don't want to help you? No, they don't ever want to help me. Nobody helps me do anything. It's like, duh. Okay, so maybe what you asked them they couldn't do in that moment. What is that? I mean, why should you be mad about that forever and a day? Move on. Ask somebody else. Oh, so you're lazy. You just never want to do your part. You just leave everything to me. Okay, so you're feeling, you're angry about that, and if that's happening, you have every right to be. But what are you going to do about it? Talking about it endlessly is not going to change the situation. And sitting there, having this in your head, and you mad, you over there in the corner looking at them all evil and stuff, and being passive aggressive because you feel like that's how they treating you, and you don't stand up for yourself. Well, see, now the problem is you. You know, that's what it's all about. One of the kind of things that you're likely to run into where people are going to be angry at you, and you're going to have to deal with your feelings about how they're talking to you. There's a bunch of reasons. These anger issues are about to rise up. When you state a difference of opinion, a lot of women won't because they're afraid of somebody being angry at them. And you don't know what to do with that. You want that approval. So you're going to be quiet because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want anybody to be mad at you. And neither do you want to be angry at somebody else for their opinion that you don't agree with. So you just don't say anything. When you have to receive or express negative feelings, like somebody want to break up with you or something. Um, when you're dealing with someone who refuses to cooperate with you, when you're speaking about something that annoys you, when you protesting getting ripped off, when you say no, when you respond to some undeserved criticism, when you ask someone for some cooperation, or when you propose an idea. These are all ways where you're going to be vulnerable to someone else's anger, and you are going to have to respond to what might come from them in their anger. And a lot of you, rather than deal with those feelings, will just be quiet. You won't say no. You won't protest to being ripped off. You won't respond to an undeserved criticism. You won't ask anybody for help. You won't ever share your thoughts or ideas. You won't express any negative feelings about anything or anyone. You won't speak up when somebody's getting on your last fucking nerve. You won't say a word because you don't want to be angry, and neither do you want to deal with somebody else's anger. So those are the things that I had to say about it, and I really want, I think the main takeaway from today's discussion is for you guys to become more aware of the many ways that your anger is being curtailed socially, um, and like family structure, whatever your family culture is, and how it impacts you as a woman. Think of, as you are made aware now of the various situations that you're going to find yourself in where your anger would be appropriate. Angry would be an appropriate response for you to establish and maintain some boundaries, to stand up for yourself, to demand equal and respectful treatment, to get the raises that you're due, to get, whatever it is, you have to be angry. Sometimes you feel that anger, then I want you to channel it into something that is powerful and useful for you. Don't just let it fly around and start crying and doing all this stuff. Your anger is there for a reason. It means somebody's doing something to you that they shouldn't be doing. They're mistreating you in a way that you shouldn't be treated. And, it's like, not every situation is a personal attack. That doesn't mean that you have to like what happens, but be reasonable about it, because people have the right to tell you no, and people have the right to not give you what you want. But you're gonna feel disappointed about it. But is that any reason to be angry? No, it's not. But it's being angry is fully justified if they're mistreating you in a way that's unwarranted. Calling you out your name, touching you inappropriately, pushing you, taking your stuff, hurting your children or your pets or your property, that kind of stuff. That you have every right to be angry about that. Paying you some penny ante wage and they paying somebody else way more, you out doing the same job and you doing the shit better than they are. Things like that, you have every right to be angry, and then you need to stand up for yourself and make some magic happen. All right? I'm just saying, this is just don't be afraid to rock the boat. You guys, people are never going to take you seriously if you never get mad. Let me just be blunt. Okay, you just sit there just taking it and smiling and shit. They just gonna think, well, I mean, I guess it's okay that she didn't say nothing, and they're gonna up the ante on your ass, and you're gonna keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed into a corner until you explode and come out swinging and stabbing people and be on. And like I said, you're gonna be on snapped. You don't need to do that. Just identify what it is you're feeling, and then if you have to do like somebody said, they need to do make a tape to say, what would Deb do? What would Deb do? I mean, if that would happen, if that would help you, then picture me doing something, because y'all know how I think, and just channel me for a minute. Deal, feel it, and then deal with it in a way that's going to make you come out on top. That's always the goal. How are you going to be a winner in every situation? That doesn't mean you have to make somebody else, put the smash on somebody else, but neither do you let them take advantage of you. Okay? Yes, yes, the gaslighting is a big one, but you like I talked about at the top of the show. That's when you get hit with all them uns. That's unladylike. That's unfeminine. That makes you unmarriageable. That makes you undateable. So a lot of women are terrified of them uns. Fuck a un. Is the un paying you? If the un ain't paying you, then don't worry about being a un. Okay, that's just some talk. That's just men just talking shit to try to keep you terrified and thinking that you're going to be by yourself and miss out on something if you don't do what they want you to do the way that they want you to do it. And a lot of women fall for that shit. Y'all better be getting mad and getting your cojones together, because shit's about to get real. It's already been getting real for the last 5 or 6 years, but it's not showing no signs of letting up, and it's gonna get worse. So women as a whole, you see the directions this stuff is going. It's like your rights are getting infringed upon by men at every fucking opportunity. Every chance they get, they want to take some privilege that you have worked hard for to get. I mean, it's something that just puts you on a level playing field. It's not really a privilege. It just levels the playing field so that you have opportunities on a par with men. They don't want that. They can't stand that though. And so y'all better get mad. Y'all better get mad by the millions. Y'all better get mad. And then y'all better rise up and do some shit. Because this sitting around trying to be ladylike and get men's approval and stuff, look at where it's gotten you so far. Y'all, women as a group, women are going backwards, balling backwards, because y'all are afraid to be mad. You better get over that shit. I can't be mad by myself. I'm just one person. And so, I do what I can. But you need numbers to affect the kind of change I'm talking about. Millions of us have to get mad. And then we can do some shit. We can make some change. I even wrote a letter to the ACLU, them fuckers, and that group, what's it called? Um, that women, what's that women's group? They're the useless pieces of shit. But even ACLU is, well, we're fighting for these certain rights over here. Okay, but what about the rights of women? You trampling over the rights of women to push this agenda. You full of shit too. So yeah, that shit be pissing me off. I be mad. Every time I think about that shit, I be mad. But yeah, don't wait until, yeah, don't be on snapped. But just figure out what, as a group. I mean, if it's a group of if you start with a group of women in your community, and you change like your alderman, you go around, you change your city council person, the person on your school board, people that have a lot of influence on your day-to-day life. organize your power there and then spread out. But if we got like small groups of women in each community to change those people in your community, then shit above them would automatically change as well. Because you would change the dynamics and the focus. You have the power to do that. Okay, if you get the women together, they're gonna change some shit. All right, especially in the black community, because most of the men are locked up and can't vote no way. So, this is something you guys need to really think about. I'm not really that political. Like, I'm not going to like run for office or nothing like that. But I'm definitely in the mind that women need to recognize the power that they have and to utilize their anger and their rage for change. That is what I'm saying. Whether the change is in your neighborhood, the change is with your husband, your boyfriend, the change with your badass kids, the change is with the way the teachers teach your children, whatever it is you do, the way your boss talks to you, your coworkers bully you, whatever it is you need to do, get mad and then make some shit happen. All right? I will be back on Tuesday. I'll be back on Tuesday. We're going to have What the Fuck Tuesday again. Everything's rolling. Oh, so many letters. I don't know. We're going to be picking through these things. It's just too many of them. But it's good to be back. I have a lot to say. The next Thursday, I'm going to be talking about emotional intelligence. It's something that's been, I wanted to do it last month, but it was too much. I just did. We're going to talk about it this month. But I want to address that because that seems to be missing in a lot of these young people. Y'all don't seem to understand what you be looking at when you look at people's faces right in your relationships. I'm like, okay, I don't know what kind of relationships you gonna have. You can't read your man, and it's just helpful. So I'm gonna be teaching you some stuff about how to do it and what you're gonna be looking for, and the importance of developing that skill. Okay, it's gonna help you personally and it's gonna help you professionally. All right. So this is Deb Cooper signing out. Thank you guys for coming and sitting in with me today. I'm back from February with a bang, talking about women and their anger and their fear of it. And I think this was a good show. I appreciate everybody coming and spending some time with me this Saturday afternoon. I will be back on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Time sharp for What the Fuck Tuesday. See you then.